how do we talk about someone who's retiring from just the IPL? How do we talk about Ashwin's career now? Like, no, I mean that in a real way. Like, are we talking about him as an overall cricketer, or do we just go Ashwin the IPL cricketer? Because I think Ashwin the IPL cricketer is quite interesting because it kind of makes retired outs popular, kind of makes mancats popular. He becomes a pinch blocker, which is the term I used for Imran Khan in the '92 World Cup, and I'm still keeping on with it. This guy who can play against spin, but is limited later on. Like he's a good bat, but you don't want him batting at number 7 because he doesn't really have the power of a number 7. You actually want him to come in early on. He's a really flexible, interesting player, but he's probably not individually one of the great, if you look at Rashid Khan and, Sunil Narayan, he's not on their level of spin, right? But we actually know he's a better bowler than them.
Unfair.
No, in the
He's
IPL.
a better bowler.
No, in the IPL. Yeah. Well, we know, that's what I mean. But we know he's a better bowler than them because we've seen him do it in every format. So he's got this weird IPL legacy, right? Of, and you and I talked about it recently of, does he want to go and be a role player anymore? Or does he want to be a star? I think he's kind of made it pretty clear that he didn't want to be a role player in the IPL and move forward. But yeah, where does Ashwin the player end up as when we're talking about IPL? Like, how do you think about him as an IPL player?
For me, Ashwin, the player, I think his legacy as an IPL player won't be as great as his legacy as an international player simply because of the options he utilized after a certain point. He used a lot of defensive options in the IPL compared to the offensive options that he used in international cricket, especially in Test cricket. He used his guile and his spin a lot more. He didn't really, I think it was post 2014 perhaps, he stopped using the off spinner as much and went more to the carom ball and the leg spin, and he did a lot more. I honestly wish he used his off spin a lot more because I think he's got a great undercutter, and I think that would have left a lot of batters flummoxed, to be very honest. But I don't think he used those options very much, and I think that's why it's such a mixed bag for him in the IPL. And also, I think a lot was happening to him through his IPL career as well. So his bowling, his primary skill became more of a secondary objective because I think there was, the captaincy came to him in 2017 or 18, then the controversies also happened because of the run out at the bowling end. Which I think was phenomenal. I think he actually brought in a lot of fairness into the game through that. And I like how initially batters thought it is their birthright that they could leave, and how can the bowler do something like that? I was like, what the heck are you talking about? You're cutting the crease before the ball's delivered. And that is uncalled for, and that is wrong on your part. So he doesn't need to give you a warning. You're essentially cheating. Why? Then a bowler should be allowed to bowl a no ball, right? Whenever he wants to bowl. If you're allowed to leave the crease early, then he should be allowed to bowl a no ball whenever he wants to bowl.
It's funny that line would move when a bowler was there. It was set in stone, and when a batter was there, it was well, it's optional now. We have to give him a warning. Is it optional? He didn't mean to walk out of his crease early.
No, that's bullshit.
I didn't mean to bowl a no ball either. I think that's true. And just to go back to the year he bowled leg spin, for instance, which I still think is one of the more fascinating things that someone has done in modern T20 cricket. I think he used the IPL as kind of like a petri dish at times, right? To experiment with things.
Possibly.
Right? And, he would come in. There's that great interview he did with my friend Subhash years ago where he's basically like, I think maybe 6 well-constructed bad balls is the way to go. He was so ahead of his thinking when it came to T20 cricket, but it didn't suit his individual skill sets in the way that it does Rashid Khan or Sunil Narayan or some, Imran Tahir, right? I'm not saying all those guys are always better than him, but it suited their skill sets perfectly in that format, going up against those players. Whereas actually his true genius is probably bowling on the second day of a pitch in a test match where it's not doing all that much, and he can find a way or find an angle or find a speed that will work for him and everything else. So I think he's a very fascinating T20 cricketer from that perspective.
He is.
But
in
you know,
general, a fascinating individual. Like I
yes.
think he's very forward thinking, slightly ahead of the game at most points, like all time good. That's a little unfair to say.
That's
No,
a phrase that we've been using quite a lot on Good Areas. Is
have
all
you?
time good. Yeah, because not everyone is an all time great, but an all time good is still an incredible player, right?
Yeah,
I didn't say it.
good.
I didn't say you're an all time good, but Varun might put that up on the screen in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do. I just think he's a really fascinating cricketer and always has been. As you say, he's fascinating
I
off the
think he'll
field.
actually make a fascinating coach. Yeah.
I don't think
That'll
he'll
be
become a
interesting to
coach.
see. I think his life is going to be way more enterprising than getting stuck in a coach's job, because a coach's job is like he'll probably be a mentor of sorts. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that'll be a great role for him. But he could be a coach. He could be a head coach in the IPL. Some of them, there could be some takers for him. If he can build a good team around him,
Oh,
he
no,
could
I
be
don't
a.
think he can't be a coach. I think he'd be a great coach. I don't think that's where he's positioning himself post retirement. I think it's much more likely that he's looking at media and everything else. If
Media for
he's
sure. As in, I think he was ahead of the curve with that, and he started something in 2015 or 16 that a lot of us in Indian cricket were scared to do, because you get tagged as a particular thing, and this is our main source of income, right? And then suddenly you're looked at, your perception shifts completely, right? It's only after Ashwin did it and me and DK did it that people are even willing to have their own YouTube channels and but now it's like at the other end of the extreme, I think. But
yeah,
but
I
yeah, I mean, he
actually
was ahead of the curve.
yeah, I think he could do so much more. And I've mentioned this before, but I talked to his management group and his wife and all the, his confidants and everything about this. I still think that he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he could do with his YouTube channel, and that it could be incredible. It'll be interesting to see now if he kind of unfurls that a little bit more, because I think he has some issues with commentary, in that he's a little bit like me, and probably a little bit like you as well, but certainly more like me, in that he probably says things slightly before he thinks about the repercussions of what he said, and that does not work particularly well. That's why I haven't worked on TV. I've had TV producers tell me that it's like, we can't have you on because you will say the thing that we can't have being said, right? And I'm like, no, I can behave. They might be right. I don't know, but I think he will have trouble keeping all the powers that be on side. But if he has his own
Yeah, it's
YouTube and everything else, he could turn that into the biggest. His YouTube channel / podcast network, if it was run correctly, and it can't just be him coming on when he's got a free half an hour, but if it's run correctly and done professionally like the Americans, could be bigger than Cricinfo.
yeah, for sure. I think so as well. I think he's incredibly good at what he does, and he's got a decent team around him, and he's focused a little bit more regionally. But I
Yes.
think if his focus shifts global, it might be a slow burn initially, but I think he will be phenomenal.
I think
And
he's the chance of cricket finally having, this a great sort of podcaster, YouTuber, content creator, whatever you want to say. Those, the sort of he's cricket's best chance, because I think everyone in cricket knows him and respects him. He does think like you and I may not agree with everything he says, but we know he's thinking it through, right? Like
yeah,
there's a reason why he's saying it, even if
saying
you and I
something.
might come from a different angle. And I think he's captivating. Like I really like the
Yeah,
way
he
he
is.
goes about it. But it'd be interesting to go.